Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I am joined with Duct Tape from Comic Corner, and I'm also joined with Mike from Laughingstock Media, and we'll be talking about our reaction to the most recent Goku vs. Superman fight, Part 2. It's obviously a remake of the fight that happened a couple of years ago, and we'll be sharing our thoughts on the whole thing. Duct Tape is, knowledgeable about comic books. Mike is actually both knowledgeable about both Dragon Ball and comics, and I'm mostly on the side of Dragon Ball, so I felt that we have a pretty balanced team here today, and a very unbiased team, as Duct Tape is obviously more in favor of comics, and I'm more in Dragon Ball, and Mike's on both sides, and I think we're going to have a nice little reaction video to what we think happened in that fight. So without wasting any more time, Duct Tape, why don't you start us off in this video by sharing your thoughts as the comic book guy?
One of the videos that I did, I had assumed that this would just be them trying to throw a bone to the DBZ fans, just to have Goku win. But they actually didn't do that, and I'm honestly surprised about that. Though the examples that they used for Superman, I'd really prefer if they stayed strictly to the comics. They included a bunch of movies and stuff. I'd rather them just stick strictly to the comics. Well,
Duct Tape, I'll just, really backfire on that a little bit, to kind of balance this off in the Dragon Ball way. They did use Goku from Fakatsu no F, and they also did use Goku from Battle of Gods, even though it's kind of hard to calculate how strong Super Saiyan God and pure Super Saiyan God is. Yeah, guys, I know it's called Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, I just refuse to use that term. And at the same time, I just think that you can also say from the Dragon Ball perspective, they used Goku from movies, and as you're seeing with Super, those might be written off or rewritten in different ways, so that kind of is inconsistent in the way, which one are you using? But I see your point there, Duct Tape, but what were your other points?
The whole way that it was represented, Superman winning, I know the animation is just for show, though it seemed that he won a lot easier than last time, and I was wondering if you guys thought that this is their way of saying maybe Super Saiyan God, Pure Super Saiyan God was not as powerful as Super Saiyan 4?
Well, here's the thing, guys. I mean, obviously, the whole Super Saiyan 4 versus Super Saiyan God thing, it's going to be a never-ending debate. And I think that one of the problems that I had in this death battle was when they were actually showing Goku transforming into a pure Super Saiyan God. When he was actually fighting against Superman, at first he starts off by punching and kicking him, and it looks like Goku has the edge, and then when he blasts him with the Kamehameha, it seems to have no effect on him, and that kind of doesn't make sense to me, because I would think Goku's, actual Kamehameha would do a lot more damage. And I just wanted to spit off some of my main points before, Duct Tape and Mike, get in more in depth about the whole Superman aspects when it pertains to Goku. The one thing that I wanted to say about the pure Super Saiyan God transformation is that I personally don't think it was fair to use that argument, because of the fact that we really don't know how strong that transformation is and also when you're using a villain comparison. When you're using Frieza, when you're using any character that Goku has fought, number one, Goku has not even been the strongest character on several times throughout the series. In GT, if you're using GT as a legitimate continuation of the series, Omega Shenron was individually stronger than him by the end by the point of which Goku fought him as a Super Saiyan 4. And if you also use the fact that in the Dragon Ball Z movies, Battle of Gods and Fakatsu no F, Beerus and Whis are both stronger than Goku. So if you really want to use the strongest Dragon Ball character, Goku's not even the strongest character in Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super as up to where we are right now. Obviously he'd be the strongest Z fighter, and even that's up for debate, because in Fakatsu no F they said that they were equal apparently. But going to the whole villain comparison, the one thing I've had a problem with is that Dragon Ball characters go through a cycle where it's always about the next villain who's stronger than the previous villain. And when you compare it to the Superman characters, and Mike and Duct Tape are going to get into a lot more detail about that, it's hard to measure how strong Superman is, which leads me into the whole infinite power thing. When they said Superman's power was infinite, that's kind of confusing, because if Superman's power is infinite, then he should theoretically be able to beat anybody in a fight. Goku has broken his own limits by, achieving new Super Saiyan transformations. But if you really think about it, having unlimited power basically means nothing can stop you. And, you know, according to what Mike and Duct Tape were saying, there were many instances in which Superman has lost to guys who were stronger than him. So what can be stronger than you when you're unlimited in power? That's the one, you know, inconsistency I have. Like when they divided unlimited in half and they still said unlimited. Well, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but you know, how much power does Superman really has is really confusing to me. And the last thing that I really wanted to point out before Mike and Duct Tape get in is the whole instant transmission thing kind of, you know, was a little bit itchy to me, because they were mentioning how Superman was essentially near one of those stars, the star Vega, and how he basically flew all the way back to Earth within a few minutes. Well, my counter to that is they didn't even mention that Goku had instant transmission. They mentioned it in some of Goku's techniques. But if you go through the actual manga translation, Goku's instant transmission is referred to instantaneous movement. So it's literally an instantaneous movement where he goes from one part of the universe to the other in an instant. And because of that speed, that would obviously give Goku an edge. Even Duct Tape and Mike have admitted that instantaneous transmission or instantaneous movement would have given Goku a serious speed advantage, even against the fastest guys in the DC universe. So those are the only points that I've really had a problem with. Other than that, I thought they backed up their points, and ultimately I don't care who won the fight. I just care about whether or not they're using legitimate, information. In the first fight, I felt they were wrong when they were using Goku on Snake Way when he's moving across to justify his speed, because I'm like, well, this is a Goku who's a fly compared to the Goku later on. And they used that to calculate like his transformations later on, and I had a serious problem with that. But, I'll let you guys jump in now to share your thoughts on how you think it went down. Doug?
I think what matters when it comes to instant transmission is not the linear travel speed, but more of the application. As we know for a fact, since not only have we seen the manga and the anime, but also the movies or at least the canon films, such as Battle of Gods and Fukatsu no Web, we know that Goku can use instant transmission in combat to actually amp up his speed, to go faster, to go around his opponent at a much faster rate than his opponent could possibly react to, such as what he did against Boo and Beerus, and eventually use an attack at a much closer range that someone could actually counter. And overall, I just think that even barring instant transmission, I think Superman's greatest speed asset is his linear travel speed, such as they said the Vega example. Superman going way faster than the speed of light in a straight line. But, of course, if you're going to fight in a omnidirectional battle, such as characters in Dragon Ball Z do, when you have a character like Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, whose combat speed is perhaps thousands of times faster than the speed of light, Flash-level combat speed, alright? Goku would outspeed Superman 1,000,000 times to 1 because of how fast he moves, how fast he can punch, how fast he can react. The biggest thing for me when it comes to that is there was one example in a comic book in which Superman and Wonder Woman were sparring in combat to see who was faster, who is better in terms of actual combat. And afterwards they talked about it, and Wonder Woman was saying flat out, "I'm faster than you, Clark, in battle." And of course Superman was like, "No, I'm faster. Can't you tell how fast I can fly in a straight line?" So what ended up happening was he asked Batman, and Batman gave the perfect example for what I think that this works in a fight. He said, Is Usain Bolt faster in combat than Bruce Lee because he can run faster on a straight line? And in my opinion, if Superman can fight less fast than Wonder Woman, then Goku is going to fight faster than him, and it'll be very hard to make up that disparity in speed.
Well, what other points do you guys have other than, the speed that you wanted to bring out about this?
You want to talk about the whole them using New 52 and pre-New 52?
Yeah, so essentially, pre-52 Superman and 52 Superman are not really the same character insofar as they've experienced the same stories and done the same things. After 52, it's kind of a different Superman. He doesn't really necessarily have the same strength feats to back him up. He doesn't have the same stuff. So using both of them, in many ways, it would be like using one Superman from one universe and a Superman from another one. Because they're not really the same one that you could apply feats to. Because that way, I mean, that just doesn't really make feasible sense when we're actually talking about a fight. It'd be like using Superman and Ultraman and saying they're the same character and they do the same thing. Yeah, not to mention that Duct Tape had said before about them using movies. That was another kind of thing that I had an issue with. A movie like Superman, Unbound, or, All-Star Superman, which was originally a comic. Those things were never really intended to be canon or the same true Superman. They were supposed to be fun little what-ifs or elseworlds. Yeah, so you can't say that they can apply because they just don't work that way.
God Key might have some attributes that aren't known to the public at the moment.
So what was your way of putting it with Superman's magic?
Pretty much, it's like shooting Batman with a bullet. He doesn't have any specialized defenses against him. But in Batman's case, getting shot with a bullet would most likely kill him depending on where he got hit. But in Superman's case, he'd heal from that pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, this is getting around that time where we should wrap this up. I mean, do you guys have any other additional points that you'd like to make that you definitely had a problem with, or?
I thought that it would just be them trying to feed off of their popularity, and for that I'll say I was wrong. And I've got a little bit more respect for them than I did before.
Superman is an incredibly powerful character. I definitely think that in the end he has a lot of great feats, and if he were to, say, catch Goku off guard, or if he were to, say, be able to actually hit him with some of his most powerful attacks, it definitely would be able to secure him the win. However, I just think in the end that Goku's speed alone kind of makes it just impossible for him to not come out in the end. Not to mention that, he just really has some really powerful abilities that would allow him to overcome Superman. And of course, although I don't really agree with a lot of the things that they might have said in the death battle, in the end, this is something fans really enjoy, so, more power to them.
Well, I guess I'd just say that my final thoughts on this whole thing is I really didn't care much for the rematch, to be honest with you. I was disappointed in ScrewAttack in the first one, only because of how they kind of miscalculated Goku's speed. But other than that, I do feel like their information's pretty solid. I don't think they executed it to perfection, but nobody's perfect. Nobody's the know-all, end-all to everything. Obviously, if you use some movie feats from Goku and you haven't even seen Goku's new transformation from Super, personally, I would have preferred if they waited a little bit while into Dragon Ball Super where we could actually learn more about the transformation before they did this video. That was my honest preference. If they did it right away, that's up to them. But I think their whole point, it was very obvious from the beginning that they knew that Superman was going to win. It was very clear that that was the intention. A lot of people thought Goku might have a chance. But if you really think about it, guys, I thought from the beginning that Goku would lose because I just felt that, this pure Super Saiyan God transformation that we barely have any information on, there's not enough for us to suggest that Goku would win as compared to well, I knew for sure they wouldn't be able to justify that Goku would win from the first fight, considering the fact that there's barely anything we know about it. So what information could they take in to give Goku the edge? That's why I said from the beginning that Goku was going to lose again. At the end of the day, guys, just look at it. I don't think the animation was as good as the first one, but I mean, that's just me personally. I think they had their execution, they had their reasons. I don't care about the result, I just care about them using accurate facts. And at the end of the day, I hope you guys enjoyed our reaction video. We had a lot of thoughts that we wanted to share today. And most importantly, over everything else, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And Duct Tape, put your plug in.
Alright, yeah, that. You guys, so recently I met Damon Clark, the voice actor for Cell. I got him to sign some things. If you guys want to go over to my channel and win some really cool stuff, Qaaman will probably leave a link to the video in the description. Read the rules, have fun, that's it.
Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.